doing, YouTube? It's Frank and Gord's Excellent Off-Road Adventures. I hope everybody's staying safe right now with this pandemic, so we thought we'd do a little bit of maintenance. So today we're going to be doing greasing on all the hubs, the bearings, on the 2019 Can-Am Maverick Sport XRC. So down in the description we'll put the tools we used and the sizes of the tools and sockets and things like that, as well as the grease and the 29mm greasing tool that we have, and we'll show you that up shortly. The first thing you want to do is obviously jack your vehicle up safe, get the tires off the ground, and the first thing we've done already is obviously take the tire off. And on both sides of the machine you're going to need to take off your sway bar links, because when we take the knuckle off to remove it, to grease the bearings, we have to raise it up. So we'll also be taking the lower part of the shock arm off. So we'll get to that, and we've already gone ahead and loosened up our 30mm castle nut, and we'll start from there. Okay, so again, we've taken off the sway bar link, both sides, in order to raise the A-arm after we remove the shock, so that we can pull the knuckle off to successfully remove the axle, so we can insert the bearing greasing tool. So we've gone ahead and taken the tire up, jacked it up, and loosened our castle nut. So that'll be the first thing we do after taking the sway bar link off, is to remove the shock bolt. So let's go ahead and do that, and I believe that is an 18 mil. So, and it is. So it's always a good idea, once you take your bolts out, to put them back, so obviously you know which way they go and where they go. And then get this bolt out properly, you sometimes just need to lift up just a little bit, take the tension off the shock, and there you go. Easy peasy. We'll put that back on, and we'll just let the shock hang for now. You'll see we've put a jack stand underneath the knuckle, the hub. That's just in case it wants to drop a little bit now that we've taken the suspension spring off, the coil spring. So we're good to go. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen the caliper bolts. For this, I'm going to turn the steering back a little bit straighter, and I believe that's going to be a 15 mil. Now Can-Am does recommend that you replace your caliper bolts. Our machine has less than 200 kilometers on it, so we're just going to put a little Loctite back on these when we put them back in. This one's a little bit of a bugger to get at because of the skid plate A-arm protectors here. Now we're going to leave this top bolt in the caliper attached to the hub. That way there's no tension on this brake line, because we just need to loosen it enough to slide it up after we take our castle nut off. we should be able to get that brake rotor out of there. Pretty simple and easy that is. For some reason you'll see all this white grease in here. That seems to be like a lithium based grease for the bearings. I'm not too sure, so if anybody you know what they pack that with, feel free to leave a comment and let us know. So now that that's done, in order to get this out, we would have to lift this whole assembly up, but it won't come out quite that easily. So you're going to need to take out your bottom A-arm and your tie rod to get that all loose. So we'll go ahead and start taking that out too.
The lower ball joint.
Lower ball joint, yes. And we got a cotter pin we got to take out of that too. We'll replace those with new ones. Not quite yet. With what?
The fuck is wrong with this thing?
What with the microphone?
I don't know what I have and what I don't have.
Okay, so now that we've got the tie rod out, we'll take the lower ball joint out so that we can lift the knuckle up and turn it up to get the axle, or to get the splines out from the axle, and then we can put our greasing tool in and reverse the complete process. So we'll need a wrench on that as well. Now, in order to get these ball joints out, if you've got a soft hammer, that would be good. I don't actually, so in order to release this, I'm just going to give it a couple of taps right here and pull up at the same time. And there we go. It's as simple as that. She's out. Now, you can probably try to do this with one person, which I'm going to try to do. Just lift up on the upper A-arm, keep the shock out of there, plunge the axle a little bit. There we go. And your axle's out. And now, that's good, thank you. Okay, good. So as you can see, why we've got the jack stand under here to hold the lower A-arm from going down too far. And now we can lower this back down and put our tool in there. So we'll actually try to keep this in such a way, if you have someone with you to hold it. Now, we've already done the driver's side, and you'll see this tool here. This is a 29mm tool, and we'll put the link down below. And nice little tool. Our other driver's side we already did, and that took about 15 pumps. So we'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you can move that way. 11, 12, 13, 14.
Out the front.
And this one took 14, and she started to come out. So that's good for that one. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
So we'll get a little rag just to clean up the excess that's out there. It looks like some kind of lithium grease. I'm not too certain what exactly it is, but and that's it. Now you reverse the process, and before you do that, I like to put a little bit on the splines here, and we'll go from there. So we'll disconnect our tool. I'm sure there's many different ways that people like to do this, but the old G-body style vehicles used to do this quite a bit in my younger years. So that's pretty much it for that, and we'll reverse the process now. I do have some torque specs, and I'll mention those too, but obviously you want to be specific to your machine, so always look up your torque specs, but we'll give you what we have for the 2019 Maverick Sport XRC. But even don't take our word for that, obviously look them up, okay? So again, we'll reverse, we'll lift, plunge the axle a little bit, there we go. Splines are back in, now we can lower this. And I think the first thing we'll do, just to hold the A-arm, is just thread the bolt back into the arm here. I may have to actually set it right on here. Make sure you get your ball joint in. May actually have to lift up on the ball joint like I just did, and that put it back in. And we'll just slide that bolt back through. All right, we should be good. That's good. You can look over now. Just put everything back loose. Put the shock bolt back in. Just put that loose before we torque it all down. Don't forget, we're just going to put all this stuff on loose, and then we'll talk about the torque settings. And then don't forget, there'll be a new cotter pin in here as well, so we'll put the rotor back on as well. Actually, what I'll do is we'll tighten up the bottom one. So a little cheat sheet here. So for the lower ball joint, we're going to do 46 foot-pounds plus or minus 6. So we'll get our smaller torque wrench and we'll set that to 46. We'll put our cotter pin after we tighten up all these other bolts. Next thing we want to do is tighten up the tie rod, and that is going to be 25 foot-pounds plus or minus 1. Be nice if I had a couple of these torque wrenches of this size to be able to not have to adjust it every time, but 25. you're going to want to torque up the bottom of your shock, and your shock bolt should be 55 foot-pounds plus or minus 3.
It's 56.
Okay. All right, so now we'll take out, or sorry, we'll put back our rotor assembly, and we'll slide this on. You may have to spread your brake parts, but I think we'll do okay here. If not, you can just take a little bit of a screwdriver, but ours went back on perfect. So again, like I said, what we will be doing, and don't forget to clean your threads here before you put your castle nut back on, but we'll be putting a little bit of Loctite on these. And these will be set for, the calipers bolts are 37 foot-pounds plus or minus 3.
Always nice to have off current.
Sorry for the peanut gallery, folks. Just take that top one out that we left in so that we didn't have to take the caliper completely off, and put a bit of Loctite on that. And that's going to be a 15 millimeter. All right, and as I said before, clean off the threads, and we'll put our washer and castle nut. And this will get torqued to 184 foot-pounds plus or minus 11 pounds, and it's suggested obviously you'll need someone with you to hold their foot on the brakes while you tighten this up. So we're not going to go ahead and show you tightening this up or putting the cotter pins on. I think we get the idea. We'll show you the tool here. Unlike the X3, that's a hollow 39 millimeter tool to go through over the spindle. It's a little more work on the Maverick Sport XRC, but this is the 29 millimeter tool, and we'll put a link down below, and it works great. Again, we took about 15 pumps of grease into there. So everything is going to be completely torqued up. I'm not going to show you putting the tire back on. Thanks for joining us today. And if you have any comments or questions, please don't forget to put those down below. We'll do our best to answer them. And please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Come on, give her. All right, everybody, welcome back. Felty here. We're going to do the back sides. We've already gone ahead and done the passenger side. Ran into a bit of trouble. The splines looked like they were rusted. We had to take our trusty 3-jaw puller here and pull the hub off the axle. So we'll see what happens on this side. We're going to try it, and maybe we don't need it, but if we do, you'll see how we do it. So we're just going to take the axle nut off if we can find the right tool. No, it's okay. I got it by hand. All right, it's just a little tight there for a second. The axle nut, set it aside. 15 mil. We're going to take the brake calipers off. Move back off the brake caliper bolts. Maybe. Gonna give Frankie a bit of a break here so that he's not doing all the talking. He can be the peanut gallery this time.
Okay, all right.
We're hoping to get lucky on this side, but generally if one side's bad, they're probably both the same way.
Remember, Can-Am does recommend that you replace your caliper bolts, but we only have 200 kilometers on this machine.
Sorry, I'm probably going to be in the way of the frame. Nope, we're not even gonna play around.
Tap with a hammer, just to see if we can loosen it up.
She's in there pretty good. I'm just gonna put the puller on it and not even waste too much time.
Set of second hands in there.
Yeah, we're okay at the moment. Actually, if you want to just come and just tighten it up for me.
You got it.
Just the center, yep.
I think it's an 18.
I think it's, is it 18? Just like that, she's pulling out. So I don't know if it's tight tolerances or, judging by what I can see, it's mostly just rust. So we'll lube those up before we're done. So we're going to go ahead and remove the lower control arm bolts. Sorry about that. These are 15 mils. Hopefully once the lower control arm bolts are out, we can just swing the A-arm up and pull the hub up and pop the axle. I think it's time to replace the 15 mil or the bolts. Yeah, you can't really lift up on the arm. Probably better to push down them. Okay, so we've taken the lower control arm off. As with the passenger side, the axle is stuck in the hub as well due to rust, which I wouldn't expect. I mean, we do see a lot of water, but not what I'd expect for a machine bought in November and only ridden 5 times. I would expect a little bit different. So we've got our three-year puller setup here, and we're just gonna push the hub and the axle apart. It's actually pretty good. Didn't take too much. And we may be left with taking the upper control arm off altogether. I don't think we can get it up high enough, so loosened the bolt in anticipation that we were going to have to do this. So there she's off. So we'll just put this back up here to fill it, and then so that you can see. I'll just hold it in place while we get the tool, as we've seen before. Slips in. And then I may need an assistant just to come in, and I'll bring Frankie in to give me a hand. Other side was, I think, 13 pumps.
Something like that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Okay. There we go.
So that's 14 pumps, and we've got some coming out of the seal, which is what we're looking for. And then we'll just grab a rag from over here, just to clean up the inside a little. Yep. And then we're going to apply some to the splines so that we don't have this problem again, or hopefully reduce it. This is a non-water soluble grease. And considering how much water we do see, it only makes sense that we do it. Yeah, we can apply some to the inside.
The actual rotor though.
The actual.
The rotor on the ground there, the splines in there. They're a little rusty too.
Oh, so I don't know if you can see this. Ton of rust inside here, so we're gonna apply some grease inside here as well. Trying not to get any on the brake rotor. Helps with reassembly as well, which is also important. So we're going to take this back out. Gently put the axle back in. And you can see it went in far easier than it came out. I'm going to put the upper control arm bolt back in. Put his nut on. Put the hub rotor on. He's going to require a little light tap just to help him seat. And then once we can get the castellated nut on, then we'll just gently take that and the 30 mil. What we'll do is we'll just draw it in. And then I'll just draw it in real nice. And then we'll torque that up once everything's back together. We just put this in here just to support the upper control arm while we took the bolt out. So we'll have to probably get we'll have to push this down to get the lower control arm in.
Hang on, I'll get it out of the way.
That's why I wanted the brake out of the way. So this is...
Hold on, don't push yet. There we go. Bushings in there. All right, yeah, that's it. Pull the knuckle out a bit.
Cam in.
There we go. Now you can leave that to you.
Okay, sorry about that. Got the caliper back on. We're going to put the caliper bolts in. As we've said before, Can-Am recommends replacing these. Less than 200 kilometers on it. We are going to apply a little bit of blue Loctite just to help it out. If we can get the bolt to catch, would be great. So we're going to start with tightening up the lower and upper control arms. They are both 45 Newton meters each. If I could find the
Foot-pounds, yeah.
foot-pounds. If I could find the small torque wrench, which somehow didn't make it into the pile on this side. Is that the one I want?
I will make a comment that on the caliper bolts in the rear specifically, you can't get in there with a your standard torque bar unless you have a crow's foot in order to torque it.
So this one looks like it's probably already set. Of course, these are locks, so they are a bit of a pain that way. I have to say. So that's both sides. That's the lower control arm, torqued to 45 foot-pounds. Then we'll go ahead and do the upper control arm. And that's the upper control arm. So next step is we're just going to do the caliper bolts. We're going to end it here, and tighten up the castellated nut. We're going to put a new cotter pin in here, and that's really the end of it. So that's all 4 corners done. The rears, you can see, were a little bit more of a pain than the fronts. But seeing this now, I'm glad we're doing it, and would definitely recommend anybody to get the tool and do this on their own. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.